What's up, it's Jan, back at it again with another nerdy bookish video. This is gonna be my June wrap-up. Hello everybody, we're back with another wrap-up in the reread, rewrite, burn tag method. I've been doing this for over 4 years now. Y'all know the drill if you've been here. If you're new, I just pull out 3 titles from this little handy dandy skull and I say whether I would reread, rewrite, or burn the book, hypothetically. So it's basically fuck, marry, kill, but make it bookish. Just to start off with an overall recap of June, not my best reading month, okay? I read 17 books. I really love to hit that 20, you know, just for my sanity. I was fighting for my life in June. I don't know why. It was so hard for me to focus. It was so hard for me to finish books. I just kept starting them and that's usual for me, right? But I don't know, there was something about June that I was just I could not just sit there and read for a long time without wanting to color or wanting to watch Love is Blind or just anything else. So I think I was in the slumpiest I've ever been, ever, in May and June. I think we're getting back into it. I'm hoping Summerween, which starts tomorrow from the time I'm filming this, will get me back into the swing of things, and also being around Gabby in person, Gabby who reads a shit ton, will help motivate me. Anyway, 17 books, 5,295 pages. My best book of the month was this little shorty patorty. It's called We All Rot Eventually by Mia Ballard. So I bought this immediately. I don't buy trophy books often, and I hate that term. I don't know who came up with it, but I hate it. But that's what this was. But also, I don't just buy trophy books to display and just to have as my reward for finishing it digitally or audibly or whatever. I buy books after I read them in another format with the intention of rereading it and knowing I will want to reread and annotate. I did the same thing with Shy Girl because I had a NetGalley arc for it, but I read this on Kindle Unlimited, and this is Mia Ballard's debut. It's a horror novella, and I pitched it as Maxine, the movie, meets Joe Goldberg from You meets Maeve Fly, which is one of my favorite books of all time. So needless to say, I loved it. Maxine, because we follow Alexa Valentine, who is trying to be famous. She wants to be a star, you know, that's kind of the obvious comp, but then she gets unhinged, like Maeve Fly unhinged, but also some of the ways that she becomes unhinged remind me of Joe Goldberg. It's a shorty, like I said, so I'm not gonna say too much, but I absolutely loved it. 5 stars, and it's a contender also for my top 10 of the year. I think I did prefer Shy Girl, but this was just as fun, just as unhinged. If Mia Ballard makes it onto my top 10 twice, that'd be wild. I am gonna read Sugar for Summerween, so hopefully she's 3 for 3 for me. She's quickly become one of my new favorite horror authors. My worst book of the month was The Mother Next Door by Tara Leskovsky. I got this in a blind date with a book that was also kindly sent to me by one of my subscribers, Tiffany. She is Blondie's Books GR. I'll try to remember to link her Instagram down below. She has an Etsy shop with blind dates with books, and it's so cute. Her packaging is so cute, and her prices are great. But yeah, she sent Joey and I both a book. She sent me 2 books, and one was the mini one, and I was so excited to have a mass market paperback that wasn't a billion years old, you know? This started off all right. I gave this 2 stars though, but it started off all right because it has Halloween involved. There's this Halloween fest that these moms, these suburban moms, are preparing for, and then we get into the thick of the plot about this missing daughter, and then we have all this classic domestic thriller stuff going on, and it just was kind of boring, and it felt like I've read it before. But yeah, that 2nd star is solely for the fact that Halloween was involved, and there were these little excerpts in between chapters, not excerpts, these little interludes, I don't know, these interruption chapters, which I usually hate, but this one had Halloween ones, so it got me in the autumnal spirit, which I'm always in, but you know what I mean. The arc that I read in June was Bat Eater by Kylie Lee Baker. Now obviously this is a finished copy, this is a special edition. This is the Illumicrate Evernight exclusive, but I did get a NetGalley arc for it, so I was able to review it on NetGalley. Did it up my score at all? No, but nevertheless, it was an arc. And I read this for the live show for Kayla's Literally Dead Book Club. I'll link our live show down below, but I gave this 4 stars. I love Kylie Lee Baker's writing. Y'all know this. My favorite book by her is The Keeper of Night, but this is her horror debut, but she includes a lot of horror elements in her fantasy books as well, which I adore, and she's coming out with more horror books in the future, which is so exciting. She just released her cover for Japanese Gothic that comes out, I want to say next year, maybe this year, I can't remember, but fairly soon. This takes place during the COVID pandemic. That's why I put it off for so long. That's why I didn't read the ARC. I got the special edition and I still put it off, and then like a month later Kayla asked me to be on the live show, so I was like, okay, yeah, absolutely. I needed an excuse to finally get to this. And it's heartbreaking. There's a lot of racism in this. Just check trigger warnings. There's a lot of gore as well if you're queasy about that. But we have our main character who's a crime scene cleaner, and she is trying to figure out what's going on with all these deaths that just happen to be Asian women. It was heavy at times. It's not 5 stars for me because the ending, there was something about the ending that felt like there was something missing, and the reveal of everything, it was unique, but I was just like, oh, okay. But then when we talked about it, it makes sense because it reflects society. Let's just go with that. For my coffin covers challenge, which was to read a book with a snake on the cover, this is a monthly reading challenge that I have over on Patreon. It's super chill. It's just look for something on the cover and read 1 book a month or more if you want. And I always plan to read some, like I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna read this one for sure, and then totally choose an entirely different book. This month was no exception. I ended up reading This Skin Was Once Mine and Other Disturbances by Eric LaRocca. That is obviously a snake. I gave this 4 stars. I really liked most of the stories. I think there were a couple 5 stars in there. The first one, I believe, was my favorite. But yeah, I would totally reread this story collection again. I love Eric LaRocca so much. They just keep cranking out books, and I feel like I am not gonna be able to keep up soon because I got overwhelmed when they posted their next few books. I was like, oh my god, how am I gonna? But like this one I finally got to. Like I bought this on release day, I'm pretty sure. There are some fucked up things in this. There are some stories that felt kind of cosmic-y. The last story I remember was like this fucked up game that these 2 old friends played. I think it has good variety, good gore, good general horror. Also, some of them I believe had really good like social commentary as well, so highly recommend this story collection if you're looking for a horror one. The book box book that I read was Bat Eater. I believe that's the only one. And then from my 2025 TBR, so my 25 for 2025 and my 12 Recs by 12 Vamps, from the former, I read Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid and Off to the Races by Elsie Silver, both of which I gave 4 stars. Atmosphere, I sobbed at the end. It's sapphic, if you didn't know. A lot of people didn't know. I didn't know. But yeah, the ending, prepare yourself mentally. Have some tissues, okay? I'm sure you've heard about this book, but it focuses on astronauts. It's a classic Taylor Jenkins Reid book where it's a character-driven story and it's historical fiction. And then Off to the Races, we follow Vaughn and Billy. Billy's a horse trainer, and she ends up working for Vaughn and trying to like prove herself that she can train this horse that no one can even get near. Like he wouldn't let anyone get near him. So she's like, yeah, I got this. I really liked the plot of this as opposed to the romance, which is why it's not 5 stars. Like this is one of the few times that I've skipped sex scenes, which I feel like are the only acceptable things to skip. You know, I feel like some people skip like the mundanities in lit fic and stuff, but I feel like that's important for like character work. But sex scenes, most of the time you read one, you've read them all within the book, right? You just get a feel for their chemistry and if they talk to each other while in bed and the author's writing style, you know, read 1 or 2. After that, I'm like, especially if I like the plot a lot, yeah. But that's just me. That is just me. Don't get me wrong. I do have times where I'm in the mood for just smut, like smutty books, like Katie Robert type books. But yeah, this was not the time. It was cringy. There were a lot of cringy lines. So I was like, I can't do this. I just want to get back to the horses and like, are they okay? But yeah, those were from my 25 for 2025. And then my 12 Recs, I read another cowboy romance called Holding the Reins by Paisley Hope. This was recommended to me by Steph from Steph Loves. I'll link her channel down below. I gave this 3 stars. I'll have my vlog for it down below, I think, unless I read it for a Patreon readathon. I can't remember. I think I read part of it for a readathon, but I think I finished it in a public vlog and I believe I quoted things in that vlog? I can't remember. Regardless, I'll link a vlog at some point. It just had unpleasant quotes. It's in my Goodreads review. I quoted a few things, just really cringy. There was a point in this I remember being like, I just want this to be done. Oh yeah, and there were some taking care of her scenes. There were grand gestures. Found family obviously is a common thing in small town romances. I liked them as a couple. This was Nash and Cece. They were brother's best friend. Her brother's best friend. Is he a hockey player or something? And then, yeah, she worked for him too. So it's essentially kind of very similar to Off to the Races. So that's why they're kind of blurring together in my head. But yeah, it was a fun time. I did buy the sequel and I will continue with the series because I'm convinced that I'm gonna love a few characters in this, like the side characters that we met in this book. But Cece and Nash were just not my couple. That's all. Their chemistry was kind of lacking for me. And then the last one for my 2025 TBR was Woodworm by Layla Martinez. This was recommended to me by Tiffany. We've all heard about Tiffany. This is a different Tiffany from the Blind Date with a Book Tiffany. I gave this one 4 stars as well. I really liked the first half more than the second half, but I liked that the second half kind of circled back to the first couple chapters, which were my favorite part of the book, with like the husband and everything and the wall. Yeah, this is a translated work. I believe this focuses on like generational trauma. I think there were things about immigration too, but I could be wrong. But the writing was great. I think some things may have been lost in translation. I don't know, but the beginning was really, really strong and creepy. That is everything in terms of my recap. So let's just start pulling books. So 17 is 5 rounds and then 2 wild cards. I feel like we haven't had wild cards in a while. We've got Bright Red Fruit. I'm sorry, I forgot the author's name. It was a library book. Abuela Don't Forget Me. That was also a library book. It was an audiobook. And then Holding the Reins. Abuela Don't Forget Me, I gave 5 stars. This is a nonfiction, and I felt for the author. I think the author was the one who narrated the audiobook. We follow him from when he was a kid. He talks about his abusive parents and how much his grandmother helped him through life. She took him in and they had their own language basically. They were really close. The author's note talks about her dementia, which I was so scared to read about, but the book itself didn't have anything about it. It was more memories with her, and the ending hit. A lot of it hit. It was a heartbreaking read, but I would reread that for sure. It was nice to listen to because there were also Spanish words throughout, and it was nice to hear the author's voice saying those Spanish words, you know, rather than in my head where I'm like mispronouncing shit. I would rewrite. Okay, Bright Red Fruit, I gave 4 stars. That one was a book in verse that I got from the library, and it reminded me a lot of The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo. And I remember in the acknowledgments, this author actually mentions Elizabeth Acevedo, so I thought that was kind of funny. But this one had like an age gap situation / like grooming, manipulating type thing, and I didn't really like that. But it's a young adult coming of age, so it's necessary. But do I want to burn Holding the Reins, or do I want to burn that? I feel like I would rewrite Bright Red Fruit. I don't know how though, because that was like the main character's journey through this, like coming of age and everything. It might have been a little bit too long, I want to say. I think there were some parts where I kind of got not bored, but just like, okay, can we move on type shit? Like her things with her friends or just certain conversations that she would have. Sure, we'll go with that. And then Holding the Reins, I would just burn. It's fine. I have a billion other cowboy small town romances that I could read. I think I've had my time with this one. I'm trying to decide whether I want to unhaul this or not though. I did annotate a lot, but if I love the other books in the series and I'm only missing the first one, I feel like I'd regret it. So I might just hold on to this for a little bit longer, at least until I finish the series or read more from the series. Why did that take so long? Next 3. We've got The Skin Was Once Mine and Other Disturbances by Eric LaRocca, Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and then Sour Cherry by Natalia Theodoridou. I believe I gave all 3 of these 4 stars. I gave a lot of 4 stars in the month of June. Okay, so the rating isn't going to determine anything. I would reread The Skin Was Once Mine, because I literally said I would reread this horror story collection. I would rewrite Atmosphere. I understand that the kid was necessary, okay? But I wanted to learn more about the adults. I feel like the kid kind of overtook certain scenes where we could have had more adult character time. I feel like the kid thing did not need to be that big of a part in the plot. Maybe if it had a little more romance in it as well. I feel like it was a good amount of romance. Like, I'm not asking for like sex scenes, but I would like to get to know the characters even more than I already did. I don't know, maybe some like more backstory or whatever. I feel like it's a great, well crafted, well done, well researched book. There was just a lot of the kid. Some of it was unnecessary, like some of the things I didn't really feel like I needed to know about the kid to get the gist. And Sour Cherry, I really enjoyed this. It was a fun time. It was unlike anything I read before. It's based on Bluebeard, right? Bluebeard's Castle. In my head, I always want to say Blackbeard, but it's Bluebeard. And it does have that dark fairy tale feel, which I usually don't like that much, but I gave this one a chance and I really enjoyed it. I like how it all came together. The formatting is kind of odd. And then there are these, again, the interjection chapters with the black border where it's more like fairy tale-y, but I like the way it all circled back and everything, and how the author kind of just trusted the reader to figure it out with certain names that they would call the characters, things like that. And it's by a trans author, just so you know. But yeah, I mean, compared to the other two, it's just a circumstantial thing. I would burn it, but keeping this on my shelves, and I'd probably reread it in the future. Next we have Ash's Cabin by Jen Wong, We All Rot Eventually by Mia Ballard, and Gasians. Obviously, would reread We All Rot Eventually. I already talked about her, 5 stars, best book of the month. I would rewrite Ash's Cabin. I really enjoyed Ash's Cabin. I think I gave that one 4 stars as well. Like I said, I gave so many books 4 stars this month. Ash's Cabin made me cry. I was not expecting that. This is the author / illustrator for The Prince and the Dressmaker. Oh, the dog scenes in this one got me so bad. But this kid knows that their grandpa's ranch, I think, being sold or something. So they're like, can I please spend one more summer there while y'all go to Disneyland? Because I don't really give a fuck about Disneyland. So then they make this whole plan to fix up their grandpa's cabin in the woods. They bring their dog with them, and it's a survival story, honestly. It was a journey to read that one. But I would rewrite that because I wanted it to be longer. Like, there were so many scenes that would just like cut. And I was like, how did we get here? Like, I wanted more development per scene. I wanted to see how certain scenes played out, but then I'm like, oh, that's it? Because then we would be in a completely different setting on the next page. That's a graphic novel, by the way. And then another graphic novel, unbeknownst to me until a few minutes into the book, was Gasians. I listened to this. Yeah, I've never listened to a graphic novel, but it works. It's a whole like performance. I mean, the only reason I would burn this is because the other two, again, circumstantial, okay? But this was so much fun. This had so much good commentary about being Asian and gay. I believe they were in New York. No, they were in California, I want to say. Our main character just moved to this city and he found this gay Asian community. And so they're like teaching him all the lingo and they're taking him to the club and they're just like getting to know this guy. There are some deeper moments to get to know all the characters. It was weird not being able to see the illustrations, but at the same time, the audiobook was truly a performance. Like, there was like moaning during the sex scenes. There was laughing. It was all dialogue, obviously, which is why I realized that it was a graphic novel. I was like, why are they just talking constantly? But yeah, it was a full cast. Like, there was like screaming, laughing. There was everything. It was acting, okay? It was so good. But in this case, I would have to burn it just because of the other two in the trio, unfortunately. But I really enjoyed that. 4 stars, like I said. Highly recommend. I got it as a Libro FM ALC, and I was just like sorting my library, shortest audiobook to longest, and that was the first one. So I was like, yeah, for sure. There were a lot of relatable parts about being Asian as well. It was just a fun time. Honestly, I would reread it physically as the graphic novel because I would love to see the illustrations, but you could pretty much see everything. Y'all know I don't visualize much, but like this I could because the audiobook was so fucking good. It had so many sound effects as well. Even when they're just like, I don't know, walking from one room to another, there's footsteps, they're shuffling shit around, they're pausing and thinking about things. It's wild how good it was. But unfortunately, I had to burn that one. Summer in the City by Alex Astor, Off to the Races by Elsie Silver, When the Wolf Comes Home by Nat Cassidy. I already know I'm gonna burn Summer in the City. I gave that one 3 stars. I listened to the audiobook. I'm so glad I didn't purchase this book. I knew it was gonna be like a one-time thing. I was feeling the FOMO and I wanted something cute and light and fast and just like mindless, and this was exactly it. It's a billionaire romance in New York City in the summer. You get to know this main character who's a screenwriter or like a film writer. She has her secrets and he has his backstory, and then, you know, people find out about things. And she has like her insecurities about how she was brought up and just like earning things. I don't want to give too much away, but it was a fun time. There's like grand gestures and everything, of course, because he's rich. And Alex Astor is the author of Lightlark, if you didn't know. And this is her first romance. I would reread When the Wolf Comes Home. Oh shit, I've been filming for that long? Ow. My hip just popped. As I reach for my phone alarm, I am doing laundry, so that was my laundry alarm. What was I saying? Oh, I would reread When the Wolf Comes Home by Nat Cassidy. I gave this 4 stars. I should have read the author's note though. I heard, or the afterword made people cry. Usually I would, but I think I was kind of bored at some parts, but this got wild. This has a lot of daddy issues. Beware of that. It took a turn that I wasn't expecting. I liked the turn it took. I think Nat Cassidy was very creative for writing this. I liked Mary more than this one. I haven't read Nestlings yet, and I like this one definitely more than Rest Stop. We follow a struggling actress. She finds a 5-year-old runaway hiding from his dad. It spirals from there. She gets into so many different situations that she was not expecting to get into, and it's just one thing after another. And it's a short book, but the font is small, so it felt longer than it looks. The chapters are short if you're looking for that, because I know I do, but I don't know why this took me so long to read. It took me like days and days to finish this book. It was a good horror. I would reread it, and I would read the afterword eventually. I don't really care enough to right now, but I would reread that, and then I would rewrite Off to the Races. Cringy sex scenes. Just take out a couple, make them less cringy. I was here for the horses. And I liked them as individual characters. Like Billy and Vaughn, I liked them individually. I also liked them as a couple. I liked their relationship development, but yeah, just the romance, it was meh. Next 3 picks. The Bone Maker by Sarah Beth Durst, which is honestly probably going on my most surprising list of the year. The Mother Next Door by Tara Laskovsky, and Woodworm by Layla Martinez. Okay, so I would burn this. We already talked about her. I would reread The Bone Maker. I really, really enjoyed this one. I give this like a solid 4 stars. I think there were parts that dragged a little bit, but it also could have just been me, but I would totally reread this. This was such a fun time, and it's a standalone. Thank you so much to Colleen for putting this in the Immortal Vampirec Vessel, which is my Patreon TBR jar. I loved it so much. I had so much fun. It has an army made of bones. The magic system is great. There are like these talismans that you could use for like strength and stealth and gliding through the sky. Okay, our main character is trying to resurrect her husband, but she has to like trade days of her life for days of his life. That's how the magic works. And then there's a friendship aspect to this. There's an adventure situation because they pick up old friends along the way and they're trying to accomplish this thing. It has a cozy feel. It says it's an epic fantasy, but I don't know. It felt cozy to me. If you like Nettle and Bone, if you like Bonesmith, all the Bone books, you'll like this one. I really enjoyed Sarah Beth Durst writing in this. I didn't really like The Spell Shop, so this completely changed my mind about her. I'm so excited to read more from this author now. And then I would rewrite Woodworm to make the second half as captivating as the first half. Sure, we'll just go with that. Sorry, I didn't want to overthink that. Oh, we're on our wild cards. I was like, where's the third one? The skull is empty. We've got Bat Eater by Kylie Lee Baker and Paladin's Grace by T. Kingfisher. I would reread Paladin's Grace. I love T. Kingfisher so much. I love this book. I gave it 4 stars as well, though. I don't remember exactly why, to be honest with you. I do have a spoiler-filled vlog for Patreon for this. Don't remember my full-blown thoughts, but this was definitely cozy. We have a paladin who knits socks, okay, who knits. And then this little, I forgot what he was called, but he's like a little animal companion. Love him. Oh, and then main lady is a perfumer. It was funny, she kept mentioning that he smells like cinnamon rolls or whatever. Is it cinnamon rolls? I want to say it was cinnamon rolls, but it was just such a fun time. I can't wait to read the rest of the series. There was also like a murder mystery situation, but I didn't really care for that. I cared about the characters. I cared about the romance in this one. I love their tension. I love their banter. I love their little moments together when she was working and then he was at her doorstep and then he started like knitting socks, and oh my god, their little cute gestures with each other. So fucking cute. And their little like meet cute was so intense. I love this. This was such a feel-good book. I can't wait to read the rest of the series. And then Bat Eater, you know, there were some crazy scenes in this. The deaths were my favorite part. That sounds weird. But the deaths were my favorite part. They're the parts that got me hooked the most, and there's like a paranormal-ish aspect to this as well. It got creepy at times. I'd probably reread this. Like, I wouldn't rewrite the ending, really. Maybe if I did rewrite something, it would be like getting to know her friends more, because as soon as we would get to know them, some shit would happen and we just move on from their backstory or whatever. So yeah, I feel like this would have benefited from being a little bit longer. Y'all know that's rare for me to say. I'm usually like, cut this out, cut this out. But yeah, that is everything, my dudes. Let me know if you've read any of these and what you think, what you thought. If you want to read some of these, I don't know, chat in the comments down below. If you made it to the end of this video, let's see what's on this cover. Let's put the teddy bear emoji in the comments down below, because there's a teddy bear on my favorite book of the month. Yes, the teddy bear emoji in the comments down below if you made it to the end. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you had a 5-star day. Don't forget to do some self-care, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.